What is up guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video we are going to be reviewing the MaxFind M5 drive kit. This is the second part of a two-part series where we cover this kit. In the first part we unboxed and attached the kit to the deck of our choice, and in this part we're going to be reviewing the board, its specs, and discussing some of the things we like, we dislike, and whether or not this is a board worth buying. To preface this video, I just want to say that MaxFind did in no way pay us to make this video, however they did send us this kit for free for review. So now just to jump straight into the review, the first thing that we're going to go over are the specs on this board, as obviously specs are going to be one of the driving factors as to whether or not this board is right for you. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the top speed, and MaxFind advertises that this board can go up to 40 kilometers per hour, which is 25 miles per hour. In all of our tests, we were only able to hit 36 kilometers an hour, which is 23 miles an hour. So it's not the fastest board out there, and it definitely doesn't hit that mark that it says on their website that's advertised. For a kit that's $550, I really expect a higher top speed, so it's definitely disappointing to only get just around 23 miles an hour out of this kit. The next spec that I want to discuss is the range, and we have the standard range version on the M5 kit, which MaxFind advertises can do 20 kilometers or 12 miles on a single charge, which is actually very close to what we got on our range test. On our range test, after 9 kilometers, we were down to 25% battery. After 12 kilometers, we were down to 10% battery, and the board died at 15 kilometers, which is right around 9.3 miles. So we got just under 10 miles on a single charge. Granted, we were riding at full speed the entire time, so I definitely think you could hit 12 miles or even more if you were riding more conservatively on the M5 kit. Given the $600 to $650 price tag associated with this kit, I think that the range is a little bit low, but the bright side is that it does have a swappable battery, meaning that you can get more range out of this kit if you have additional batteries to hot swap in. Next up, we have the hill climbing ability, and MaxFind advertises that this board can climb up to 30% slopes, which I think is a little bit of a stretch. Here's the board on a 20% roughly hill, and I think it is just fine. I think it climbs average compared to other hub motor boards, a little bit below average compared to boards in a similar price point. I think that it's under-spec'd once again in terms of its hill climb performance compared to other boards, but by no means is it bad. It makes it up these hills pretty quickly, but not as fast as a build-driven board in the same price category. If you are looking for a budget electric skateboard with good hill climbing ability, then the MaxFind M5 kit is probably not right for you. However, if you are dead set on a hub motor board, then the M5 kit is not a bad option for hill climbing. The next thing that I want to discuss is the control on this board in terms of the braking and acceleration, and I have to say that I'm very pleased with the braking and acceleration on this board. The new Hobbywing ESC that they're using seems to be very solid. It's the direction that a lot of these budget boards are going, and I think it's a very good ESC with a strong braking and acceleration throttle curve, so I'm very pleased to see that. I think there could be a little bit more at the tail end of the braking just to bring the board to a complete stop, but in general it's very strong, and I'm very happy with the braking on the M5 kit. The acceleration, like I said, also very strong, pretty good for hub motors, but nothing extraordinary. The next thing that I'll discuss is the ride feeling, and I can't speak too much to this because it's really going to depend on the deck that you choose to mount the M5 kit to. However, I do believe that you're going to have to choose a relatively stiff deck just because that bottom enclosure is 13.3 inches long, meaning that for this kit to actually work, you're going to need a relatively stiff deck in the first place. So if we're going off of the basis of the stiff deck, I have to say that the ride feeling is not too great. It's a stiff deck with hub motors, which means that there's no flex to absorb any of the vibrations that those thin urethane hubs don't absorb. So in general, I'd say it's not the smoothest ride feeling on rough roads. Here are a couple of slow motion shots going over some rough surfaces, and as you can see, the vibrations are not at all absorbed by the wheels or the deck, meaning that your foot is taking most of the impact over any rough surfaces. So for this particular deck, or any pretty stiff deck in general, the ride feeling on this kit is not going to be that great, just due to the nature of hub motors and having a stiff deck. I will say though that because you can choose your own deck, this is adjustable, and theoretically there could be a deck that makes the ride feeling more comfortable than others. Now that I've discussed all of the specs on this board as well as the general ride feeling, I'm going to get into the things that I like and don't like about this kit. Starting with the things that I do like, it's the nature of this product and the fact that it's an actual kit. And that means that you can mount it to any deck of your choice, and for a lot of people this is a big deal. Having talked with a lot of people and helping them through their DIY builds, deck choice is one of the priorities for so many builders out there, and being able to buy a kit and mount it to pretty much any longboard really is a special quality of this kit that you don't have with a lot of other pre-built boards out there. So I will say that having a kit is nice in that aspect because you are able to mount this kit to the deck of your dreams and build your own personalized electric longboard, which kind of leads me into the next thing, and that's that you can really feel like you put some work into this board when you get it. Now obviously this isn't a DIY, but it is something that you did craft yourself and have to put together in some way. So for some people that might be a sense of achievement that they do want to have. The quality of parts in the kit is also very good. I really love the way the whole system fits together, from the plugs that go between the hub motors and the enclosure to the actual enclosure itself. It's a very well thought out kit, so I do have to give MaxFind props on that front. Something else that I really appreciate is the fact that it has a swappable battery system and an upgradable battery system. So the enclosure is actually made the exact same size regardless of which battery option you choose, which means there's a ton of extra room in there if you buy the lowest and smallest battery, meaning that you can actually upgrade this board as you go and as you need, which I think is a really good feature for a lot of people just getting into e-skate. Also, that swappable battery feature is great if you want to take your board and be able to swap batteries to get longer range. I also really love the acceleration and braking curves on this board. I touched on this a little bit earlier, but overall it's one of the pros about the MaxFind M5 kit. Now I'm going to discuss the things that I don't appreciate as much with this kit, and the main things are pretty much all of the specs. I think that this board is under-spec'd considering the price point. It's $550 at the moment, plus a deck, which is around $100 more, so $650 bucks for this board when it's all said and done. And I think the speed is a little bit too low. 23 miles an hour is a little bit on the low end for a $600 board. The range is definitely too low. I'd expect at least 15 miles for 600 bucks. And the hill climbing is fine, although I will say there's better boards out there in the $600 price range. Lastly, the ride feeling is nothing special. The stone ground finished hub motors with a generally stiff deck yield a not so great ride feeling on rough roads, so unless you're sticking to purely smooth roads, it can be bumpy at times. To conclude this video, I'd just like to mention that I've said a lot of negative things about the MaxFind M5 kit in terms of its specs, but it's not a bad board at all. In fact, I think the kit is fantastic. It's just not spec'd up enough for the $600 price point once you consider the deck. I think that if you're looking for an electric skateboard in the $600 price range with good specs, this probably isn't the one for you, but if you want a kit, this is definitely a fantastic option, and I think it's super well made. That concludes our review and thoughts on the MaxFind M5 kit. If you guys would like to know more about this board, drop us a question in the comment section below and we will do our best to get back to you. We will also leave a link to MaxFind's website. That way you can learn more about the MaxFind M5 kit directly from MaxFind. If you guys enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, please make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for lots of other electric skateboard reviews and DIY electric skateboard content. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys in the next video.